Millionaires. How did you become so wealthy? I didn't get into medical school my first try. I went to graduate school. I had to work 3 jobs to pay for my education. I come from the upper end of the lower class. My parents didn't have money. I got into the financial business by accident. That's a story for another day. I fell in love with the financial biz. I got accepted into medical school. When it was time for me to go to medical school, I was making so much money that I decided to stay in the financial biz. As you might imagine, my parents were none too pleased about that, but they've gone over it. In my first 10 years in business, my 20s and early 30s, I worked 80+ hours per week. My friends all made fun of me because they were playing in 3 softball leagues every week and partying in Cancun, or someplace like that, every few months. After 10 years of eating unhealthy and working my bum, I was able to cut down to 60 hours per week in my early 30s to my early 40s. All my friends weren't making fun of me anymore for not partying with them. They were all saying things like, "I wish I could have a house like yours." Somewhere in my mid-40s, I was able to cut back to working only 3 to 4 days per week. When I did work, they were long, more or less 12 hours per day. And all my friends said, "I wish I only had to work 3 days per week." Now in my early 50s, I work as often as I want, but I still put in 40 to 60 hours per week because I like working and making money. But I take a lot of time off, do a lot of traveling, or just relax and do what I want. I got where I am because of hard work and training myself to find opportunities. Training oneself to find opportunities requires a lot of hard work and a lot of failure. I got rich, then almost went bankrupt. I got rich again, and then I actually went bankrupt. Now I'm rich again. I've been conned and swindled. I've had money stolen from me, and I've had employees that have lied and cheated me. But in the end, I'm rich. My family is now rich. Many of my loyal, honest employees are rich. My loyal clientele is rich. And my investors are rich. Work hard and become very good at something. Build a solid reputation as someone who knows what they're doing. Build a reputation as someone who can fight through adversity and never give up. Locate opportunities in the market. Find a way to profit from that opportunity. Learn how to build a business. Keep copious notes on the processes and procedures you followed, good and bad ones, that helped you build that business. Learn how to write a business plan. Seek out investors. Start out small and don't get greedy, i.e., don't get hung up on owning 51% of the company. The goal is not about percentages. It's about 1099s and K1s and building your net worth. As you get better and more experienced, you can demand a higher ownership share. Don't fall for the tripe the world tries to foist upon you. The government is not your friend. High taxes are not your friend. Government regulation is not your friend. And most of all, remember this. The world does not care about your intentions, nor how noble your project or idea is or was, nor does the world care about how hard you tried. And most of all, the world does not care about your PLE, perfect legitimate excuse to justify why you failed and why you lost money. The world only cares about results and how much money you make. There are no participation trophies in business. Now go follow this formula and create your own wealth and success because my generation, the generation that is currently in power, is starting to retire and we need great people to step up and take over the leadership roles that we will gladly, eventually, relinquish so we can move on to the next stage of our lives. We'll be here to advise and counsel whenever you need us. Story 2. There's lots of good advice out there about living below your means, saving, and investing, but those are mostly related to managing your bottom line. Bottom line management is critical, but making $10,000 more is better than spending $10,000 less, assuming you get some marginal benefit or utility from the $10,000 spent. So I wanted to touch on that. The best way to make more money is to be uniquely capable, trustworthy, and invaluable to the people you're working for. Be that your boss, clients, investors, or yourself. What does this mean? Number 1, always do things 100% right the first time and pay attention to details. If someone asks you to do something, dig a ditch, manage an event, prepare a presentation, code an algorithm, whatever, always do it as if your life depended on its accuracy and completeness. If you don't know how to, figure it out without bugging the task assigner. Consider every angle of every possible scenario and make sure you have covered it. Never be caught without an answer. If you are, get them an answer the same day. You want to become the guy or gal who everyone knows that if they give you a task, it will be done right, on time, the first time, without any oversight from the individual who assigned the task. The more they can depend on you to get it done, the less time they have to spend thinking about it. The more time they have to focus on other things, the more valuable you are, and more money for you. Number 2, the time necessary to reach perfection, 95% correct versus 100% correct, is extraordinary, often double or triple. To that effect, you don't have to be the smartest person in the room, but you do need to work the hardest. You can outwork anyone. Take note of when the first person gets to work. Now get there before them, every day. Don't leave until everyone is gone. Every day. Don't read Reddit or mess around. Work 110% of the time. Your productivity will go through the roof. 5 times your peers, literally. With all that new time on your hands, volunteer to take on new tasks. Freelance in different departments or groups. You will get exposure to the other sides of the business and become uniquely knowledgeable and well-rounded. You just became invaluable and irreplaceable. Your dependability and the reliability of your work product will exceed those of your peers. People will go out of their way to involve you in projects because you are now the workhorse everyone wants and needs. The added benefit of this lifestyle is that you won't have expenses because you're always working. That's good. Invest the savings. Number 3, don't ask for or seek out recognition, but don't let anyone steal your thunder. People will try to ride your coattails. Let them do it if it doesn't hurt you. You need friends. But if they're above you and take credit without giving credit, subtly make sure their boss sees that it's you doing the work, not them. Quietly, everyone will start to know you're the one involved in projects. You get your stuff done and it's always perfect. This will lead to opportunities. Maybe it's a raise, a promotion, or the opportunity to gain sweat equity. Maybe another company poaches you, but it will happen frequently. I could probably go on, but I really think a lot of people have forgotten how to really, truly work. Millennials' number one criteria for happiness is work-life balance. And we do BS like read Reddit and Facebook and browse Instagram all day. Just stop. Be a robot. Work ruthlessly. Do it for 10 years. Your social life can wait. You're investing in your future. Do you want to be 40 knowing you will still be slugging away at a 40-hour-week job until you're 70? Is that a work-life balance? Or do you want to work 100-plus hours a week for 10 years and be a millionaire by 30? That seems like the real work-life balance to me. The choice is yours. Story 3. Not me, but my family. My dad was very poor as a kid because he was one of 5 kids raised by a single mother since my grandpa passed away early. He moved out during high school after getting his HSC, Aussie SATs, went to work and worked a lot. My dad's really smart, so he was good at what he did. Mom and dad weren't meant to be able to have kids, but when both of them were 40, they conceived me. Dad has just started his own business in the tech industry, but he believed in himself and the 2 mates he started the company with, and it boomed. Mom hasn't worked since I was born because she was taking care of me. When I went to school, she started doing a lot of charity work. She fell pregnant again with my little brother, but he didn't survive, so I stayed an only child. This year, both my parents turned 60 and my dad retired because his business is, and was, doing so well. We live in a nice house, but most of our money goes to charity anyway, since Dad knows how it feels to have no money. What doesn't go to charity goes to the family. I remember one year at Christmas, Dad gave me his mom, my Nana, and all 4 of his siblings $10,000 each, aka $50,000 in 1 year. I never asked for money. I got a job legally as soon as I could, and I've worked ever since while attending school. I think my dad gave me work ethics. They never spoiled me, even though they could have. I'm 21 now. I still live at home. I just started my first full-time job, but I plan to move out when I find a place I can take my dog with me. So technically, my mom and dad are millionaires. I'm not. It's not my money, and when they pass, I'll probably divide it up among the family or charity. Going to a private high school taught me money doesn't buy you happiness, so I don't have any interest in keeping more than enough to be comfortable. I wouldn't have even thought about inheritance, but I was forced to because my dad had 2 heart failures this year, and his dad's dad both passed away because of it in their 30s. Not that anyone cares, but he's doing way better now. A few stents in and a lot of rehabilitation later, and he's almost back to normal. So there are rich people that aren't a-holes. Story 4. I was never too good in school. I could read, write, and do basic math, but nothing more. I really enjoyed woodworking, though, and anything that involved using my hands. I left school as soon as I could because I wanted to leave home. I lived in pretty crappy places, just scraping by on pretty much the minimum wage, working in retail and hospitality, until a friend of mine said I could probably make money on the side with my woodworking. He'd seen bits and pieces I'd made around the house. There was no Etsy back then, so I had to do most of my stuff without doing any research as to what people would like. I tried to hawk it via classifieds and cards in local shops. I couldn't believe it when my first piece sold, even though for the time I'd spent making it, I haven't even made the minimum wage. However, I kept at it and made a variety of ornaments that people liked, and started doing commissions. Things got bigger and bigger. I could quit my mediocre job to do it full time. Within a couple of years of selling my first piece, I was getting more requests than I could fulfill, but I was still only making an okay living out of it. About 3 years to the day from my first ever sale, I actually had a motorcycle accident and lost the use of my left hand. Fortunately, not my dominant hand. I decided to try and get a couple of the local homeless guys to help out and provide them with meals and a share of the sale prices. Obviously, this meant we could make and sell many more pieces, but I found I was making less money once the proceeds were split up. To add insult to injury, a couple of the guys ripped me off and stole a lot of my stuff. I was back at square one. I decided to move back into making more basic pieces that would be quicker and simpler. That's when my mom passed away and left me $1 million. Dude, I was waiting for the big punchline and… What? Story 5. I'm not a millionaire, but my mother is. The answer is simply hard work. She was born in Chicago in the 1960s to a pair of Irish immigrants with less than $300 to their name when they came to this country. Neither of my grandparents had more than a high school education, but they worked damn hard for my mom to go to college. She got a degree from a very good school and went into journalism. It's not a career that's usually associated with high earnings, but she busted her bum at a time when women were really just getting into that field. She also made the most of her money as a single parent after my father passed away when I was young. She worked really hard, and eventually, before taxes and after her bonus, she became a managing editor at one of the most prestigious newspapers in the world, making close to $300,000 a year. Now, she makes great money, but she easily works between 60 and 80 hours a week. The other answer is investments. My grandfather, although not educated, was always investing in the market and made a good deal of money. And so did my mother. She has a guy who, despite a slip-up that cost her over $200,000, has earned that for us many times over. So I'm not trying to sound like a pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of guy, but in my mother's case, she came from very little and is now very wealthy. I fully admit that a lot of that was luck. My grandparents were able to enter this country because my grandfather charmed a man who would sponsor them while he was a waiter on a cruise ship, but a lot of it is also hard work. Sure, there are people born to great wealth and prestige, but a lot of them work damn hard for it. Damn, the rags to riches stories are top-tier motivational. I'd love some of that too, but right now, a like and subscribe are enough for me to continue this with you. Do so if you haven't already and don't miss another upload. Story 6. Well, last year, my fiance's grandparents won a stupid amount of money in the lottery. Double-digit millions. They were generous enough to share with the family. I grew up below the poverty line, so my life is crazy right now. Anyway, I am in fact choosing to do stuff with my life, as I'm not an idle person mooching off a very lucky break. His money is placed in a trust and we have many financial advisors. We're not allowed to buy anything without approval, and what we don't use is invested by the bank that runs the trust. I don't really care for advice since I'm just reaping the rewards. So far, we bought my fiance's childhood home, which is father-built, which is one of the most sought-after neighborhoods in my city, and we're loving the security we have as homeowners. We took an amazing trip in June, where he proposed right on the banks of the Ness in Inverness, Scotland. It was pretty magical. And no, my ring is not exorbitant. Having the money hasn't changed us as a couple, as we spent a year and a half living in a bachelor suite in the size of a one-car garage and still love each other. So at this point, it's a done deal. We're together for good and are getting married next. Also, I signed a cohabitation agreement but was agreed that I'm not signing a prenup, and my name will be added to the title of the house after marriage. And the cohabitation agreement nullifies, making everything but the trust mine. So if in the highly unlikely case of divorce, I can go after him for half of everything but the trust, as it is owned by his grandparents but he's beneficiary. Pretty crazy stuff, and I'm genuinely surprised they didn't force me into a prenup. Can I have some? Please? Story 7. I started buying multifamily real estate in central Chicago in 2011. I've been selling since last year. At one point, I had 15 buildings with 65 apartments in them. The few buildings I have left are worth about $2 million and have over $1/3 in cash in my savings. Prices were so ridiculous in the recession that I was able to turn $5,000 in savings and a lot of sweat equity into what I have now. I bought my first building with an FHA loan for $130 in Logan Square. It was 3 units and I put $5,000 down. It's now worth $400,000. Then I saved up the income from that property and bought 6 units for $50,000, which are now worth $350,000. I then picked up another 6 flats for free because the city was going to force the bank to demolish them. I borrowed against the equity in my other properties to do a total redo on them. Now the building is worth $1.1 million and generates $10,000 in cash flow every month. I live frugally as well. When my old car gave out, I bought a 2-year-old Honda with 25,000 miles on it. I still live in the first property I bought. My hobbies are ones that are only expensive if you don't have the time to take advantage of them. I buy a ski pass and ski 4 weeks a year. The pass costs $600, but I can get thousands of dollars worth of skiing out of it since my job is mainly collecting passive income. I'm only 29, so my plan is to just slowly add to my portfolio while letting the few buildings I haven't sold off burn off principal. I'm basically semi-retired, and have been for 3 years. Story 8. I basically kept the same habits I had when my income was $12,000 a year for a family of 3. I make coffee at home, I still forage for food, I still shop at thrift shops for clothing. My car is 14 years old and I try not to use it if I can use my bicycle instead, including biking to work when I wasn't carpooling. Even when I was a single mom on a $28,000 salary, I put what I could in my 401k and every raise I got went to that until I at least got the full employer match. When I got a new job and found out there was no similar retirement plan there, I met with the directors and a financial advisor and got one in place. I make my own laundry detergent and use cloth wipes or napkins. I spend about $20 a week for 2 adults for food. Yesterday, I really wanted an orange but didn't take it from the fridge because I paid for those from my husband's packed lunches, and pears from the yard are free. Oranges travel better in his bicycle bag, so they are for him. Pears from the yard have occasional spots that need to be cut out, so they're for me because I retired last year and he has another year or two to go. It's easier to cut off bad spots when you're at home in your own kitchen. I'm so tired of pears, though. I have $1 million, but I won't eat an orange if I have a free pear. On the one hand, that's pathetic. On the other hand, that's why I have $1 million and don't have to go to work anymore. Girl, you deserve an orange. Story 9. Not there yet, but getting there. STEM degree for both my wife and me. I bag my lunch and drink from the water fountain. I eat out with coworkers, maybe once a month. I fill up my trusty Clean Canteen bottle daily with free ice cream from the cafeteria and water from the water fountain. I'm in my lower 30s right now. I have a $500 house, bought 2 years ago, and that is about 40% paid off. I have to pay it off completely well before I turn 40. I currently have about $350,000 in the bank between liquid assets and stocks. I'm currently driving a 9-year-old Scion, and my wife has a 13-year-old Camry. My daughter's toys are from the thrift store. We've never had cable TV. We love Costco and Walmart and enjoy looking at deal sites. That doesn't mean we do not enjoy life. We've been backpacking in Europe, visiting Dubai, the Bahamas, Bermuda, Puerto Rico, Vegas numerous times, and Canada numerous times. We're going to California in less than a month. My philosophy is this. You get rich by acting poor in things that don't truly please your heart. We like traveling, so we do that. I like photography, so I have a DSLR. My wife likes nail polish, so she has a big box full of it. I don't care much about food, so I bag it, and we rarely eat out. The same goes for our cars. Live simply, invest and spend wisely, and love unconditionally. Feeling a little broke after hearing these stories? Don't worry. Hard work, dedication, and a little luck will get you there. If you enjoyed this and learned a few tips and tricks to be super successful, check out Poor People Who Dated Someone Rich. What did you learn? For more insider scoop, Story 1 depicts the sad reality they have. See you there.